question I want to ask all you guys. I watched Montreal play last night against Detroit, and it was a great game. It was a great game. Two titans of the game. I think that Carey Price is playing at the level that they could win a Stanley Cup with that guy in net. I think he's one of my favorite goalies in the NHL right now.
His numbers since the Olympics last year are mind-boggling. He's got about a .950 save percentage. He gives the Canadians, you're absolutely right, Frank, a chance to win every game. And last year, don't forget, in the series against the Rangers, he got hurt in Game 1 of that series. If he doesn't get hurt and they don't have to go to Tokarski, they easily could have beaten the Rangers in that series and gone to the Stanley Cup final last year. I think Carey Price right now is the best goalie in the league. Pekka Rinne is a close two. But I think Price has a shot not only to win the Vezina, but to win the Hart as well. He'd be the first Canadians goalie to do that since Jose Theodore.
But he's like, I watched the game last night. Yep. He's very relaxed. He doesn't overplay the puck. He's just a very logical goalie. He's like a chartered accountant of goalies. He plays the angles. Even though he butterflies like all the young goalies do now in the NHL right away, he's up right away.
Yeah, it's a really good story because when he first came up with Montreal, there were some talk about him being a little too much of a partier, enjoying the nightlife. He wasn't the goalie initially in the playoffs for them. They were playing Yaroslav Halak before they traded Halak to the Blues to give Price a chance to own the net. And, Price is, he's completely dedicated himself to hockey. You don't hear anything about the nightlife or anything like that with him anymore. And, I think the friendship that he's got with PK Subban's also helped both players. And they're both very mature. And I think Montreal right now might have the best chance in the East to go to the final this year.
But that's the word.
Don't disagree.
He matured. A lot of players, they get in the NHL, especially in teams that are high-profile teams, like in Toronto and Montreal, Detroit, Chicago, very high-profile teams where the city knows the players and they have an incredible, powerful presence as a star, like as a movie star, as somebody very prestigious. And I think Carey Price, listen, I've always liked Carey Price. I just like his style. I think he's very quick, very perceptive. He reminds me of Hasek. He doesn't have the unorthodox style of Hasek, but if you look at any highlights of Hasek's style of goaltending, his head's like a fucking turtle. His eyes are always on the puck. Even when Hasek was down on the ground, eyes always on the puck. And if you take a look at Price, his concentration on playing the puck is unbelievable. And I think this year they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
What's your opinion on Price, Bill?
Oh, I think the world of him, just like Frank does. I look at that game last night, and if Price is in the Detroit net when the two Montreal goals were scored, they wouldn't have been scored.
Yep.
Exactly. That's the difference.
Yeah.
The difference. No disrespect to Jimmy Howard, but he can't play goal like Carey Price can. And
no, I can't. Jimmy Howard's notorious for letting a soft goal in.
Pardon?
Jimmy Howard's notorious for letting a soft goal in.
Yep.
And it only took one last night because the second one was into an empty net, right? So, Price gives him a chance to win every game.
Jimmy Howard always seems to let the air to the tires. He's makes some nice saves and stuff, but he tends to always let a softie in at the wrong time. That's my view. Perry, what's your view on Howard, and what's your view on Carey Price?
Howard, I think, is past his prime. He's past his shelf life right now, and he's not going to be the goalie going forward. He's there right now, but that's one area they significantly have to upgrade. Carey Price was a goalie whose off-ice issues were fairly well known. As all of you have said, he's matured, and he's a different type of player right now. If you ask me who's the best goalie in the league right now, I'll say it's Pekka Rinne. By far, hands down. Not even a question. I think he is better than Carey Price.
I think at the end, what Eric said, I think at the end, the result will be what happens in the playoffs.
Yep.
And those are when the goalies become real goalies. I've said this a million times, and I'm going to paraphrase what Billy said. You guys are probably getting sick of me saying this, but Patrick Lalime to me was an incredible goalie. A very, very sharp, very quick, great glove in regular season. Could not play in the playoffs. He was a choker. He played very well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He went to become the franchise goalie. Did he not beat out Damian Rhodes for that job?
Lalime played with Rhodes.
Out of Ottawa, yeah.
In Ottawa, yeah.
In Ottawa. He beat out Damian Rhodes for that position, yes or no?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so my point is this. I believe that the great goalies, and Carey Price, if he didn't get hurt last year, I think in the history books it would have been a completely different result for the Stanley Cup. He barreled through the Tampa Lightning, even though they lost their main goalie, Bishop.
Yep.
We'll see how that ends up, because Bishop's healthy right now, and if he stays healthy, then we'll see if he was the determining factor last year or not.